In a world that increasingly seems to be feeding us films that we figured out long before the end credits roll, it's a rare feeling to still be wrestling with a movie's themes days after you leave the theater. But Sentimental Value definitely has me in that position. This film tells the story of two daughters struggling to reconnect with their estranged father, a once popular filmmaker who's looking to make his comeback with a semi autobiographical film shot in their childhood home. And this movie is difficult. Sentimental Value feels in many ways like two films stitched together because it tells the story of a very strained and distanced relationship between one of the daughters, Nora, played by Renata Reinsve, and her father, Gustav, played by Stellan Skarsgård. And these two don't really communicate. They don't talk very much at all, and that leads to most of their scenes being completely separate from one another, as she pursues her career in theater and he struggles to get his very personal film off the ground. There is some cross-contamination if you're watching closely, and their relationship definitely informs the way that they operate, but for the most part, the only commonality between their stories is revealed in the second sister, Agnes, played by Inga Ibsdottir Lilius, who gives maybe my favorite performance in this entire movie. She's the only one who has a healthy relationship with her emotions. She's really kind of a peacemaker who communicates well with her father and with her sister, and wants everyone to be reconciled, and she just really knocks it out of the park. Most of the emotional scenes in the film, and there aren't that many, are centered around Agnes. And all of the performances are really fantastic. Renata Reinsve has been getting some serious traction in the States ever since her performance in The Worst Person in the World, and for good reason. Her character is very emotionally guarded and closed off. She struggles to connect to the people around her, but she finds an emotional outlet on the stage. And we get this really fantastic early scene where she's in full wardrobe, about to go perform on stage, but she starts to panic. She gets stage fright, and she's looking for any and every reason not to go up there. It's a very intense but kind of funny scene that was a really clear standout for me. And Stellan Skarsgård is playing kind of an old guard filmmaker like a Lars von Trier, who really prioritizes authenticity and art and bumps up against the modern way of filmmaking a little bit. He's a very flawed character who's very difficult to get along with. And I think this might be a capstone performance in his career. He's absolutely fabulous in this role. Elle Fanning, as the actress who Gustav cast to be in this film, is also fantastic. She is making some really interesting choices with her career lately, and I can't wait to see what she does next. But this is where things get a little bit complicated for me, because although the performances are fantastic and the filmmaking is great, this is directed by Joachim Trier, who is a very seasoned Norwegian filmmaker, emotionally, the film feels a bit hollow for me. This is a movie that tries to capture depression and separation, and it does it nearly flawlessly, and I think therein lies the problem for me. I felt like I was constantly swimming upstream, trying to make any kind of connection to what was happening on screen. It's kind of like the anti-Hamnet, where that film felt like it rode the wave of my emotions perfectly, giving me a catharsis in nearly every scene. This movie refuses to give its characters an emotional release for practically the entire runtime. And we have these two storylines going on, and they feel completely separate and kind of siloed off for the entire movie. And that's done so intentionally. So you see, there's kind of a problem here, because I feel like any critique I level at this movie is also one of the things that makes it very successful in accomplishing what it sets out to. I could probably give this thing an A+ and spend 10 minutes very thoroughly defending that choice. I think that this is a perfect execution of a concept that didn't end up resonating with me. That's not to say that I don't think this concept should have been adapted to film, because I do think there's a place for a very reserved and stifled look at reconciliation between certain characters, where there's not a big grand moment that gives you what you've been waiting for, because life doesn't really work like that. But for as fantastic as the execution is, I just felt very unmoved, and I never felt the screen evaporate. I didn't feel like I was in these characters' shoes the way that I really want to when I'm watching a film. And in that way, this film makes its title very ironic, because there is not a hint of sentimentality in this movie. This film is at war with any kind of melodrama, as its lead character Nora is struggling to feel anything for the people and the places and the things around her that should be infused with a lot of meaning given their history, but they're just not. And I have not even mentioned the personified house that has a literal voice for a large portion of the runtime, or this movie's commentary on the ever-changing landscape of cinema. There's just a lot going on here, and all of it's pretty interesting. I felt kind of clinically intrigued by what I was seeing, and I certainly admired how well it was being pulled off by everybody involved. But emotionally, I just felt very numb. And for all of those reasons, Sentimental Value gets a B. I still lean positive on this one, and if you love film, I think you should go see it. It's extremely well crafted, but when I get in front of a camera to talk about a movie, I come equipped with one thing that other people don't have, and that is my own experience. And I have to be honest about the way that I felt during this movie. I can respect the ingredients and what went into it and still say that my reception was a bit more mixed than I wish it was, even if I do think it is a good movie. Maybe going into it with the whole picture in mind will help it click a little bit better on rewatch, but for right now, gonna leave it there. If you've seen this movie, please do let me know what you thought of it. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you at the movies.